right. Hey, how's it going, guys? Hey, Brian.
What is up, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well. It seems like ages ago, but we just celebrated.
Yeah.
What did you do?
We were out in Massachusetts visiting my in-laws for Christmas and New Year's, so it was a good time.
Awesome.
Hi, Brian.
What's up, Elise?
Oh, it's been too long.
It has been. So it's kind of sad that we all live in the same city and rarely see each other. So
I know. Well, I talked to Hannah and we're coming to your meetup.
awesome. Okay.
Brian, can you tell everyone how you work from Topgolf? I think everybody would be really interested to know how you do that.
Yeah, I just think it's so we got out of a regular office and went to a co-working space, and then at the same time we were like, hey, let's just get a membership to Topgolf and work from there. And it turns out that a lot of investors like to have meetings at Topgolf versus an office.
Right. And I thought
good.
yeah, you're really smart to do that because anybody in the local Indianapolis area, you guys have opened it up so they can join you at Topgolf for like a weekly kind of open office hours, right?
Yeah, so we have like some of the third parties we work with. We do like just a whole day of like just invite them out to work with us. I know we did with the DealMachine team, but we've also started like Topgolf Tuesdays, where me and our dispositions manager just kind of work from Topgolf, and then anybody that wants to just kind of come over, pick our brain, learn about what we do that for like an hour with them. So yeah, all kinds of good stuff. But yeah, like I said, it's kind of an easy thing to do. You probably don't want to have your acquisition people working from there.
Right.
Because it is loud and, they need to be out checking out properties anyway. So,
right. I'll tell you, we didn't get a ton of work done when we joined you, but we certainly had a lot of fun, good relationship building. And I saw a few deals happening too. So it seemed like you had some local wholesalers know they could come in and talk to you about like problems they're having and help you help them work through it.
Yeah, definitely. That happens all the time. And I will tell you too, one of the best things is when you send out a PA and you're sitting there to, send out a PA, then go up and hit like 10 balls, come back and the PA's signed and you're ready to sell a house and everything. And the deal happens. So that's always a good feeling.
Right. And then I've been to Topgolf in the evening and it's like really expensive. Right. So you can, little known tip for anyone that wants to try it out, right? There's like a business membership that really brings the price down.
It's just they do like summer fun passes, and then we just have like a membership. Basically, it's like $100 a month, so you get a golf just during business hours. So yeah, it works out pretty well.
Cool. And how did your golf game do?
My iron game
good.
Strong. So my iron game's strong. I need to work on my woods, my tee shots, but it's all right. So I'm more of a finesse player anyway.
Cool. All right, I'm going to go through here. We've got a few more that have chimed in. Somebody's thanking Brian for doing this webinar. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Felicia from Maryland. Darian from Louisville, Kentucky, not too far away. James Giblin from San Diego. Chris O from Massachusetts. Mark from Kylene, Texas. Gary from Shelbyville. I'm not sure which state that is. Andrew from San Diego. Miguel from New Jersey. Quintil from Austin, Texas. Thomas Coffin says they're building a Topgolf right next to him. He's going to have to consider that.
There you go.
Samantha from Bakersfield, California, and Lisa from Indy. Do you know Lisa Aiken?
I don't think so.
Lisa, we're going to have to get you to Topgolf.
Yeah. Lisa, come out and join us at Topgolf. Topgolf Tuesdays. We got it.
Oh, Gary's from Shelbyville, Indiana. So how far away is that? Do you know where that's at?
Yeah, that is just on the southeast of Indianapolis, so not too far. Yeah.
Okay. And then Aaron from South Dakota and MJ from Atlanta. Great to have you guys with us tonight. And I thought it would be great. The format of this is a live Q&A, so everyone's going to be able to ask your questions. But I always like to kick some stuff off with a little bit of context, maybe a story, and that way we can go from there and everybody knows kind of what your background is.
Yeah.
So I'll want to pump you up a little bit first. So I've been in the game for about 4 years now that it's 2020. Wow. Time is flying by. Simple wholesaling. You guys have grown a lot, right? From doing 150 deals to doing 300 plus per year during that time. And they have a local meetup as well, where they educate and partner with wholesalers if they've got questions. They can, and I always love this too. I can like price check myself by sending it to you or Brett and be like, hey, what would you guys buy this for? Right. And you guys will analyze the deal and like, let me know. And you can sell the deal to you that way as well. So Brian like runs it all.
Yeah. So I'm our chief operating officer. So yeah.
Right. So I can't imagine that's a deal a day. I mean, pretty much.
So yeah. Last year we finished 2019 doing 305 deals. What we sold. So total transactions. So, and we do, we buy all of our deals and sell all of our deals. So it's over 600 transactions. But as far as what we sold is 305, and this year we want to do at least one deal a day. So we want to get over 360 for this year. So
amazing.
That's our goal.
So working with a lot of new wholesalers, obviously you've scaled a large operation, and I hope people ask some questions about that. What's like the most common question you guys get though from somebody that's got a deal that's like stuck? Like what's like maybe the top 3 issues that they have, and let's start it off by answering those questions.
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest number one question is always, how do I find deals? And that's where you guys come in with your guys' product of DealMachine. That's definitely a fantastic lead generation tool to be able to use that. That's always, no matter what type of real estate investing you're in, whether you're wholesaling, whether you're flipping, whether you're looking for buy and holds, you need properties. So that's always the number one thing of just, how do I find properties? Number 2 is just, how do I build my buyers list? So that's where we come in. We work with a lot of other wholesalers. We, partner with them, co-wholesale, joint venture a lot and stuff like that, and just kind of help them out and teach them along the way of how to do a deal. We buy all of our properties. We're more of a wholesaling, kind of what we're doing. And then the other one is just kind of dealing with contracts. So the transaction side of things of how do I work with a title company? When do I send it to the title? That type of thing. So really it gets into all the 3 biggest questions are the 3 parts of wholesaling. Are the acquisitions, the dispositions, and the transactions.
Right. Okay, guys. I want you to start asking questions in the chat. I'm going to chat with Brian a little bit more about that, but I want to have some questions queued up so we can roll into it.
All right. Do I need to read the questions, or are you going to feed me?
No, I'll feed you the questions, and we might even bring some people on so we can chat with them, which is fun.
Sounds good.
Always fun. So Hannah, are you set up with the host? Let me make you the host. Hannah usually brings the people on. Okay. So let me back up. Okay. So you said top question is, how do I find deals? And driving for dollars is always a common answer. DealMachine can help with that. Definitely appreciate you mentioning it.
Yeah.
So, and the question that I find is like, where do I go look for properties? Do you ever have any advice on that when somebody asks you for that?
Realistically, it's kind of, I think you kind of need to analyze that yourself and kind of do a little self-reflection to find out what kind of deals you really want to do. What are you trying to do? First of all, what are you trying to, it's, if you start off, thinking about a wholesaler, if you start off thinking like, oh, I'll just do anything and everything, you're going to end up stumbling because you need to set some parameters for yourself. Are you trying to find, as your number one, building your buyers list too? I always say the first thing you should ever start doing is building your buyers list. So then you know what properties to find. So then if you have your buyers starting off are a lot of buy and hold investors, you need to go to those areas where there are a lot of rental properties, where it's a good buy and hold area. And then what are they really trying to do? Are they trying to use the BRRRR strategy? Well, in that case, you need to be able to go to an area where they are trying to refinance and there's a lot of value in those areas and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it really comes down to your buyer. Your buyers should tell you where you want to go. Right now we have a hedge fund buyer. So if it's a cookie cutter property or vinyl village property, like we're all over it. So we have one guy just targeting properties like that. Mm-hmm. So really just listen to your buyers list and they'll tell you where you want to go. But then also setting up parameters for yourself. Know kind of, hey, what's the highest amount of money that I will pay for a property or get under contract for? Because a higher value property doesn't necessarily mean a higher assignment fee or the more profit you make. It's really it's a higher risk. Mm-hmm. You gotta kind of know where your comfort level is, and then know the areas too of knowing kind of if I want to wholesale in a certain area, I want to know what's going on in that area. Is there a park? Is it a family area? Are there parks around? All that type of stuff. So yeah, listen to your buyers list, but then do the research and stuff too on the areas.
Yeah. Well, I started out buying this $4,000 house. I was driving where these like neighborhoods were really, really run down. And what I realized is that I couldn't refinance my house because there's no comps, so it's been a good rental, but I really try to tell people don't go in the areas that are completely, dirt, basically you're just buying dirt, and the houses are worth dirt because a lot of times there's not a lot of equity in those deals so it's hard to make a finder's fee.
Yeah. And if you if you're somebody that you're starting out and you're trying to learn, learn the city, you don't have access to like the like that, just look on Zillow and look at the places, just kind of search different streets, search different areas, and look for the ones that maybe on one or there's some, in a certain area, there's a lot of properties that maybe are selling for. Indianapolis is a kind of a low end market. I will say like values aren't a little lower here than, San Diego or someplace like that. So I'm going to talk Indianapolis terms here. But I look for like properties that maybe are selling for 200,000 to 300,000, even the high 100s. But then if there's a lot of properties around there too that you see are selling for, 35, 45 in the 50s, that's
perfect
area. Yeah. That's exactly where I want to be. And I'm going to send somebody right there to do DealMachine or see my acquisition guys down there, knock on doors, whatever it takes.
Yes. Yeah. So I've had some success buying a couple ranches that were built in the 60s. The whole neighborhood was built in the 60s, and you can tell the houses that haven't been updated. So you go after those, and the ones that have been updated really set the bar for how much you can make, but there's still plenty where they're not updated. So I've had similar experience. All right. So the second one was build your buyer's list. So you guys are an actual buyer, so people can sell their properties to you. And I imagine in other markets, there's people like you guys where they can find that also buy houses that want to buy more.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things of just, that you're going to do that through, just networking, just, find as many buyers as you can through networking, through social media, just by talking to people. It's kind of amazing how many times I might just go out, to a bar and have a drink, and just through the course of a drink, if I'm going to strike up a conversation with somebody around me. And by the time my drink's finished, I will have talked to 3 or 4 different people. One of those people will be in real estate in some way, or know somebody that's looking for properties. So it's kind of amazing just how many business cards I hand out just by going out for a drink or something, which is pretty cool. But, and building your buyers list too, when you're always be working on that, it's something that's continuous, but that's really the first step of what you want to do. If you're looking to wholesale property or do anything like that, just start by building your buyers list, because the worst case scenario is when you actually get a property under contract, but then you don't have anybody to sell it to. You can call simple wholesaling if you're in Indiana. I'd love to buy it and take a look at it. But you definitely want to have that buyer's list, at least start off with 5 to 10 people before you start going out there and look for properties, some buyers that are solid. So yeah, definitely.
Awesome advice. I'm going to roll into a couple questions, and I may bring someone on, but the first question is, how many deals are from other wholesalers versus direct to seller that you guys end up doing?
We're about 50-50. So awesome. Deals that we buy from other wholesalers we're right around 150. And then the deals that we're buying direct to seller is about 150. So we're right about that 150 or that 50-50 split.
That's awesome. Just mind-blowing volume to think about that, signing a contract every day. All right. Natasha says, let's see. Okay. Do you guys have like a phone system? Like, how do you decide what phone numbers to put on your postcards and your, I don't know if you do any bandit signs, but she mentioned that. Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah. So no matter what kind of marketing we're doing, or no matter like who the person is that's in charge of that marketing, we have a different number for everything. We use CallRail, which is, it's a user-friendly system. It's fairly cheap as well, but basically whatever type of advertising we do a different number for it. So for example, for our direct mail that we send out through our stuff, we have, for every piece of direct mail has a different number. So we know exactly what piece it came from. We put, we might do, if we do bandit signs, if we do, sometimes we put little flyers in like coffee shops, like something cheap and easy, things like that. Different areas get different numbers. We did one the other day, instead of it's always we buy houses, we did one the other day that says she buys houses, to try to get the female demographic in there, put a different number on there. So no matter what kind of marketing we do, we just put a different number on it so we can track it and we know where it's coming from.
Really smart. So do you ever find that people actually Google your phone number that you have on your postcard?
I don't know. I guess I don't know if I really know what happens with that. I know I've seen like on the news and stuff like that kind of happening where people like they do like the crime investigators or something.
Oh,
like really getting into, because there's so many fake numbers out there, so many numbers that don't go back to anything. But
sure.
So that's always a kind of a scary thing with some litigation that happens in real estate investing and stuff like that. But we've never had any issues or anything like that, or anybody giving us any flack.
Yeah.
Or random numbers or anything like that. So the biggest thing is like once you do make contact with somebody, just make sure they have an actual number that is a legit number that's going to be directed towards somebody. Some of our numbers just go straight to voicemail. Some of them actually ring to some of our acquisitions people, just depending on what the piece is and things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. I'm reading a couple questions. Give me a second. Okay, Hannah, can you bring on Felicia Campbell, please? Okay, and then while Felicia's coming on, Lisa from Indianapolis says, because Indiana is a non-disclosure state, how do you get lists like pre-foreclosures or tax delinquent?
We buy all of our lists. So from people that we use ListSource a lot. Right now we have somebody that has exclusivity. So we're the only people that are allowed to buy their list in Indianapolis. But before we had that, we used ListSource for everything.
Okay.
I know I think A to Z list is another one that a lot of people use.
Okay. What does the term non-disclosure state actually mean? Do you know?
So non-disclosure, like you basically they're not to be able to disclose what the information is that's on the county records and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. So I think what that means is as a property owner, you can decide to disclose the sale price, right? I don't know that it has anything to do with tax delinquent or pre-foreclosure.
Well, if it's sold on it, yeah. Because if it's sold on the market, it has to. I mean, you have to have the sale price on there and stuff like that. But as far as the foreclosure, any of that thing, I don't think you don't have to put that on there. So
Okay. All right, Felicia's with us. Felicia, do you have the ability to turn on your video?
Let's see.
There you are. Well, actually, I don't see you yet, but I hear you.
Oh, every time I click on it, it says you cannot start your video because the host has disabled it.
Oh, all right. Let's see if Hannah can enable it. Hannah, I always usually click on the name. There you go. And if you double click on her name, it'll give you an option to request a start video or something like that. All right, Felicia, I see you as a co-host now. You want to try one more time?
Sure.
There you are.
Yo, what's up, Felicia?
Hey, how's it going? Hey,
Very
Brian.
good. I'm doing good. I know Brian's doing good.
Oh yeah, I'm doing great. This is pretty fun. I like this.
Yeah.
I do. I'm actually on the webinars a lot, so I really appreciate all the information and everything that you guys do to help.
100%. What can we, can you just ask your question so it's on the recording? I know you typed it out here perfectly, but.
Yeah, so right now, the issue that I'm having is I went out to a property, my partner and I, and we got the seller to agree to a number. And the number was not agreed upon when we went to the property, but once we left the property and followed up, we were able to agree on a number. And afterwards, we sent through the contract, explained the contract. He still agreed to everything, but now it's like a back and forth. We're contacting, and either he's like, "Oh, I'm in a meeting," or "I'm at work. Can you call tomorrow morning?" And it's just a constant back and forth. And it's been maybe about a week or a little over a week now, and he still wants to do it, but I'm trying to see what can I do to kind of push that, without seeming pushy.
So you guys just have a verbal agreement. You don't have anything on paper yet or anything?
And he has the contract. We sent over a sample one just to kind of explain everything in detail, make sure he didn't have any other questions, and then we sent over the official one. And once again, let him know if you have any questions, you let us know. But I don't know how to.
Yeah. Well, number one, I want to tell you that you are definitely not alone. That happens all the time. That happened to us like today. That's going to happen. So don't worry about that. Don't feel like you're not doing something correct or anything. But that's all you can do is just continually follow up with them. If you need to send them multiple copies, do that. But then when it comes to doubt, if it goes past 3 days and we still can't get it, that's usually when I just really try to get my guys to say, hey, is there any way I can come to your house and, we can sign it. I can bring a paper copy and we can just sign it right there. Or, oh, you're at your office. Can I stop by your office and we can sign it in person or that thing. So if I usually try to, and some people just aren't comfortable. If you're working with somebody that maybe, isn't just really tech savvy, sometimes they have trouble signing it or printing it off or anything like that. So a lot of times, definitely just if you can get in front of them and just do it in person on paper is always good too. And one of the things I think whenever you go to check out a property, just one of my recommendations is always have just kind of a purchase agreement with you, a copy of the purchase agreement with you, just in case you happen to discuss the numbers right there and you can get it on paper right then and there. Or just even if you just like kind of leave that space empty and fill in the rest without your signature or anything like that, then he can fill it in and send it back to you as well. So we've done that too.
I tried that, but I made a mistake because once I went there, I was like, oh man, this is working out. So I went outside, act like I'm making a phone call, and I quickly pulled up I had it on paper, but when I read through it quickly, I saw that it said for a different state. And so that's what kind of messed me up. So I had to bring it back and reread and try this again and send it, via DocuSign.
Yep. So, and that's something to see. Make sure, being prepared is a big part of kind of what's going on here too, is making sure you have the right documents and you have that stuff in hand and you're ready and things like that. But yeah, if you're able to get something right there on paper, that's always the best case scenario. But if not, and it goes past a couple of days and stuff, just see if there's a way you can get back in front of him and do it in person as well.
I never thought about that. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try to go back out there and see. What do you think is a good way to approach it? Because I don't want to say, hey, I'm coming back out to look at the property, or.
No, I would just see if you can just set up a meeting with him in person anytime, whether it's at his house or whether it's at the office, or just like, hey, seems like we've had some trouble, getting these papers signed through emails. Is there any way we can just go meet for coffee, or I can meet you at your office or anything like that? So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. I'm gonna definitely try that. Thank you so much, you guys.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, Felicia.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Felicia. I'm going to keep reading down this question list here. Well, Gary said, what's the best method for building your buyers list? So I would just say, Brian, your answer was network. I said you could Google We Buy Houses Company and sell it to, whoever that is. And those meetups are a great place to find buyers. Any other?
Going just any networking, just by talking about what you like to do, but going to meetups, RIAs, anything like that, and just talking to everybody, just having a business card to pass out to anybody, and just finding as many buy and hold investors, flippers, anything like that. If you're driving around, go to and you see somebody working on a house, stop and have a conversation with that construction foreman, because they're doing work for somebody that is buying houses. So that's a buyer right there too. Just talk up as much as you can and talk to anybody that you can. And that's really the best way to just build your buyers list. Look on Facebook and, join some of the groups. And then, when somebody's posting properties, you're going to see the people that are asking questions. Those are buyers right there. So that's a really good way as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Earlier you said higher value properties are higher risk. And so Rochelle Henderson wants to know, why is higher value high risk when wholesaling?
So, and that's definitely not all the case. It just kind of tends to be higher risk, just because if your buyer has, your buyers have to basically pay more money. So it's kind of sometimes can be a little higher risk if you're just getting it under contract and, turning it over that way. Sometimes it's not. For somebody like us, it definitely is a little bit higher risk because we're actually buying all of our properties. So that's kind of where that comment came from a little bit. But really the comment that I made with that, really what I wanted to get across is a higher value property does not always mean a higher assignment fee. I bought a property before for $10,000 and made a $30,000 assignment fee on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's happened before, or a profit on there. And I bought a, $250,000 house and lost money on it, thinking that it was going to be a big deal. So for us, we're buying it. So it is a higher risk, but when you're assigning it, that's not necessarily the case. Just knowing that your buyer is going to be a little bit more particular because they have to put more money in. So they're going to want to be able to do things like, they're definitely want to probably get inspections. They're maybe going to walk through it multiple times and stuff like that. So sometimes you get a little tricky with that. That's really maybe the high risk part of that. But for us, since we're putting money in, that's why it's a high risk for us.
The next question is from Natasha Saunders. When entering a new market, do you have any suggestions on market research? She knows you mentioned Zillow for neighborhoods, but do you have any other suggestions?
Yeah. If I'm ever getting into a market, I'm always going to go visit that market a couple of times to, just get to know, drive around, get to know the streets or anything like that, or just talk to people, get in the Facebook groups for specific cities. I know just about any, major city, any major market is really going to have Facebook groups. If I'm looking to get into St. Louis, I'm just getting on Facebook and kind of, research maybe, St. Louis Facebook groups and stuff like that and try to find some. So I can talk to investors that way. You get into bigger pockets and do some research that way as well. But then, jump on some of those just free websites like the Zillow, the, realtor.com and stuff like that. And just look at where the actions happen, where are, like I said, those pockets of, hey, these are higher value homes that are being sold. And then there's some lower value homes being sold in there too. That means people are buying them for cheap and then flipping them on the other end as well. So, but best case is just, if you can go visit the states, or visit the cities is always best. Or just, find somebody that has boots on the ground that can do some of that stuff for you and give you some feedback. It's kind of amazing of how many investors I work with that are out of state and are investing here in Indianapolis, but have never visited. And when they actually do come out and visit, they have a completely different feel, a completely different vibe on what they're doing and kind of what their properties are look like and stuff like that. So I would, if you're investing money in a certain state, or certain place, I would 100% go visit it multiple times before you start spending money. If you're just wholesaling virtually or anything like that, you definitely just want to do whatever you can to find the research on those areas and understand it as best you can. So if you're wholesaling, the more informed you are to inform your buyers, just the better you're going to do.
Yeah. Here's a more advanced question. Okay. Since you guys do every single transaction, you close on every transaction, do you have an internal title company or structure that allows you to do those closings, or do you guys use a third party for that still?
Yeah, we use a third party title company. We have three main ones that we usually work with. But a lot of times we're going to do kind of we have some investors that will only close at certain title companies. So we know, hey, we're going to have to use this title company for them and stuff. A title company is not something that we kind of have on our radar to bring in-house. We have great relationships with the title companies and stuff that we work with. And I mean, because we have that great rapport with them, great relationships, we're closing multiple properties. There's one title company we work with that, because we work with them all the time, they know us and stuff, they'll turn stuff around super quick for us, which is great and stuff. And the next week I'll take donuts out to them and, thank you and stuff. But no, so we don't have that in house. We have built great rapport with the ones that we work with all the time.
Have you guys ever used a bad title company? No names, but just like, what did that look like? What happened that was?
There are title companies that we will not work with, unless it's like 100%, there's no other thing that we can do. But yeah, there's some title companies that maybe aren't as investor friendly, that might not know kind of what a wholesale transaction looks like, or why a property is being sold and bought and sold so quickly. And they just have some things that they just the paperwork side of things takes too long. They might they have trouble with the escrow agreements, just some random stuff always pops up and things. So yeah, there are a couple that we will not work with.
You definitely don't want to be taking time to educate your title company what wholesaling is.
Right. So,
yeah. And I've done a few that were pretty expensive compared to Hawker Title, which is $800,
Yeah.
I've paid $1,200 before I knew better somewhere else. So that adds up if you're doing several deals.
Right. And that happens too. If you're somebody that, you work with one or two title companies, and if you are wholesaling, no matter kind of what level you're at, I would definitely, recommend kind of building a relationship with 1, 2, or 3 title companies, building a great rapport with them, but then also having a list of their fees, a list of kind of, hey, for this amount of or for this, this property that costs this amount of money, about what would the closing cost be for that? That type of stuff. That way you can give to your investors as well. Say, hey, I've closed with these guys before, but here's their information if you want to see, what their costs are and stuff. So.
Excellent. All right. So Efren Ortiz says, wholesaling contract. Do you recommend any? And I know Hannah, you can throw the link to ours in there if you want. Brian, do you have any? What do people ask you for a contract?
Yeah, I mean all the time and stuff like that. So so you want to have your regular, you want to have a purchase agreement, then you want to have also, an assignment contract and stuff like that. So if you don't, working with somebody like, DealMachine using some of their stuff is great as well. We've had all of ours drawn up by our lawyer. And if you don't, you can find contracts out there for free that work just fine. But if you do, when you're building that rapport with the title company, like I said, whatever contract you're planning to use, I would just run it by them and say, hey, do you have, 10 minutes that you can just go through this contract with me? And then also it's something that I will always recommend, like somebody sitting down with the title company and kind of working with them. And a lot of title companies will actually have a package that you can buy too, that you will have kind of all those contracts that you would ever need in it. And then, it works well for them. Their lawyers drawn it up. So it's going to work in any title company as well. But you can find some free stuff and that'll work just fine. I would just, like I said, recommend just kind of sitting down with them and just running it past them, say, hey, would this work? Are you guys good with that? Is there anything else I need to add to this?
Right. It's always a good idea, if you're getting a free resource, to check it, yourself with your own attorney. That's generally good advice.
Yeah. And what works in one state might not work in another and stuff like that too. So it's kind of, what works in Indianapolis might not work, in Florida or California or something like that. So definitely whatever you want to talk to people in your area, around title companies, so which ones are actually working.
Okay. Next question is.
Let me add one more thing on that. I have talked to many title companies and stuff that they've said, they've closed deals with contracts that are written on napkins, paper bags, all that kind of stuff too. It's all about having the right information on there. So when you have the address, the address, purchase price, who's buying it, like what's happening with the taxes, what's who's paying closing costs, that kind of stuff. It can work out for you, but you want to look professional. So
that's funny because my contract is just 3 pages long. Yeah. And the state one's like 20. People are used to these really long ones, but I figured that if I can make it as simple as possible, that I'm going to have a better chance of like making someone feel comfortable with the deal that's about to happen.
Yeah. And, to be honest too, I've worked with, I had one wholesaler that wanted to sell a deal, and I was ready to buy it from them and everything. And I wanted to use I take it back. I was on the other end. I wanted to sell it. He wanted to wholesale one of our properties that we were selling. And I wanted to use our contract because we're a brokerage as well. I'm a licensed realtor here in the state of Indiana. I wanted to use the regular purchase agreement from the state of Indiana, and like he would not do it. And then I asked to see his contract. So I was like, okay, I'm flexible. Let me see your contract. And it didn't have some of the things in there that needs to be on a contract to be able to be sold, that I knew the title company would ask, and it wasn't on there. He wasn't flexible on that, and he just let a deal go by. Then I sold it like the next day to somebody else and stuff like that. So he lost probably like $15,000 that he was going to make on an assignment fee just because he was inflexible and wouldn't use a different contract.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I like this question. Chris O says, what are some tips on going from a one-man show to doing everything to building an actual business?
Yeah. Good question. That's one of the things that honestly, I would recommend writing down the stuff that you don't like to do. Writing down the stuff that you're not good at. One of my favorite exercises is it's kind of like if you basically put 5 boxes, there's 2 boxes up top, 3 boxes on the bottom. And then like one of the boxes is things that you are great at and love doing. And then a box that you're good at and you like doing. And the ones on the bottom are the things like, hey, I like doing, but I'm not good at. I'm good at, but I don't like doing. And then I'm not good at, and I don't like doing. And there's the stuff in those 2 boxes. Keep doing it. Keep crushing that stuff. Keep doing your best. Anything in those boxes where there's a don't in front of it, those are the first things that you want to hire people to do those things. More than likely, it's going to be a lot of admin tasks, stuff like that. So as a real estate investor, your most important asset is your time. So if you can free up yourself to have any more time to be able to do stuff, those are the things that you want to hire out first. So what are the things, are the time suckers, the things that you don't like doing, or the things that you're not good at, and be realistic about those. And then you want to hire people that were better than you at that stuff. It's the time where you kind of don't worry about having an ego, because you want to find people that are better at that than you. That way they can, they can run and fly with it, and you don't have to worry about it. It's something that's off your plate. And you can do that with in-house people. We have 3 VAs, 3 virtual assistants that work for us that are absolute rock stars. I'll literally call, one of our VAs does all of our closings, and I'll literally call or to email her to take care of something that I could is somebody that's 5 minutes away from me, and she's in the Philippines, but she handles it, and she's a lot more detail oriented than I am. So I know she'll be able to handle it better than me. So, so those are the people that you want to find, and just, hire people that, I'd say too, just hire the people that have the same core values as you, people that have the same beliefs as you, that want to go on the same path as you. So that stuff's really important.
I like that answer. Hey, so we've got 32 questions in here. Hannah, I'm going to have you bring on Christian Fautz, Fautz. And while you're doing that, I want to rapid fire 3 so we can work through some of these. So right. Claudio Valdivia, I hope you has said your name right. She wants to know, what's your preferred contact method, just in general for your business?
For people to contact me, definitely phone. If I can talk to somebody right away, always works best. I know sometimes, texting, email is kind of an easier thing, but if people can talk to me and we have that conversation, it's always a lot easier. Or if I can get in front of them one-on-one.
Well, I think she was also meaning, do you send out mailers, or do you text message, or do you voicemail, or I think that was also what she wanted to know.
Yes, all that. So
do it all.
Yeah, okay. we do a little bit of everything. So we send out mailers. We do texting. We're getting ready to do a TV ad.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So we've done everything. Pay-per-click ads, Google AdWords, SEO. Bandit signs, door knocking. If it's a lead generation source, we've probably tried it or are about ready to.
Okay. Thank you. So as a newer wholesaler, do you think people should do everything?
No, 100% not. I would pick 2 things, and I would just try them, and I would not give up on them easily. I know a lot of people, they might use direct mail. I know in Indianapolis, direct mail still works. We still get a ton of deals with direct mail and things like that, even though it is expensive and there's a lot of cost into it. But I see a lot of people just do 1 or 2 mailers and they run out of money and they give up on it. It's something that if you pick something that you can do for at least 6 months to 8 months, and then you got to stick with it. It's something that you usually might not see the results of right away, but if you stick with it, you can do it. So, but I would recommend just picking 1 or 2 things that you can crush, that you can do well, and focus on those. And then as you grow, pick up 1 other thing to try. And then if you don't do well, then you can try something else and stuff. So we like to try something new every quarter.
Yeah. And picking those 1 or 2 things and sticking with it for 6 months. My personal story with that $4,000 house, they contacted me on the 7th month.
Yeah.
So who knows what would have happened if I stopped before that?
Yeah. It's rare that the first contact you make with somebody is rare that is the actual when you get the deal. It's usually that 6th, 7th, 8th time. We've done deals that that have been in our follow-up system, and a year later we get the deal. So it's the deals are in the follow-up.
All right. It looks like Christian is with us. Christian, can you start your video?
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that.
There's an echo. It looks like you joined with your phone and your computer. Is what
I'm going to get off the phone.
Okay.
Sonar going on.
I should be off.
All right, cool. You got any video?
It's saying the host has stopped it.
The host, Hannah.
I like how David gets to handle all the tough jobs.
It is a tough job. It's not as easy as it looks. Okay, try it one more time, and then if not, we'll just go forward with the question. All right. Ray says, when a property shows a sale price on the public record, how do you know how much is left on their mortgage?
Other than asking some of the stuff, so for us, we have access to the MLS, and there's a tool on there, what's called Remine. Usually kind of gives me the the estimated, estimated amount that they had left on their mortgage and stuff like that. That's what I use. That's what I've always done. So I'm not quite sure either any other way. I'm not sure if Zillow or anything that does that.
Okay. Yeah. I just ask. Let's see here. If the property's in a trust, where's the best place to start?
So, do you guys have? I'll put that on the group. I just found a website that works out great for that. That will give you it gives you the owner of the trust name, but then you still have to do some research to find out. It gives you like the trust owner's name or like who's in charge of the trust. It gives you the person's name, but then you have to kind of do some research to find the other information and stuff like that. I cannot think what that website is called, but I just found it the other day, and actually it's been working out pretty well for us. So.
Cool. We can put it in the follow-up email.
I will do that.
All right, Christian, what you got for us? Oh, no, I don't hear him. Let's see. Ah, there you are.
There you go. What's up, Christian?
Can't hear you, though. Bummer. All right. Oh, bummer. Okay, I can't hear you, Christian, this time. I'm not sure what happened.
Shoot, I can't hear.
Oh, there you are. We can hear you now.
Got it. Sorry, guys. A little technical difficulty over here.
That's what makes it challenging and fun.
Yeah, absolutely. No, awesome. Great webinar, David, Brian. Thanks for putting this together. A lot of things that Brian are resonating with me. David, did you see the question because I'm really looking to scale up. It's just coincidentally, I just had some team members actually just leave my office, and my slots are filled. So the next step is for me to jump up my game on the driving for dollars. Okay. So one of my questions was how to expand that. One is how to have accountability. And the second thing on this too is I'm looking to expand. I'm originally from New Jersey. I'm based down here in Fort Myers. I'm doing a lot of things that Brian is doing, the direct mail. We close on a lot of our houses as well. So my next step is expanding my team here in Fort Myers, but I'm also looking to do business in New Jersey, where I'm originally from. I've been approached by some people who want to team up with me, but are looking for somebody to help them do their marketing and find the deals.
Excellent question. I love that question.
So I would say with that, one of the number one things I'd say, are you working with any kind of like a scaling up coach or attraction coach or anything like that?
I am not at this point, no.
So that's something I would really recommend is when you get to that point and you're really scaling and stuff like that, that you work with some kind of a coach that's going to help you develop your scorecards, help you develop, just that accountability piece, help you kind of run meetings, especially when you're working two different markets and stuff like that. And you have multiple people. You want to be able to do things like have a daily huddle and be able to touch bases and stuff like that. Who's in charge, who's reporting to who, so have accountability table or accountability charts, those types of things. So I would recommend into maybe looking for like a scaling up coach or a traction coach or something like that might be able to help you out with that. If you want to, anytime too, I'd love to, if you want to email me or we can get in touch too, I'd love to give you any input on kind of how we run our meetings or any of that stuff as well.
That'd be great. I appreciate it. And the second follow-up on that too is I've tried both methods, taking David's advice as far as paying people by the hour and as also paying people per approved property that they put in my system. And I found success under both formulas. I don't know if you have a preference, and the second part would be if there's a better preference where I'm going to be having people driving neighborhoods remotely for me in New Jersey. Here I can go and I have more boots on the ground in my local town of Fort Myers area.
Yeah, I think with that it kind of all depends on the person. So we've kind of done a little bit of everything. Our most successful method was we just paid people $1 a house that they put into the system. And then if it ended up closing, we paid them an extra $500 and just tracked it.
Okay.
And we had people that were really successful with it. We had one guy that was making like $500 a week doing it. And we did pretty well, but then we had other people that just, they would start off strong for like 2 days and they would dump out and stuff. I would say the best time to do that is to find in summertime, find the college kids that are looking for summer jobs. they're great people to drive around the city and find properties for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've also found that too with my marketing. Like I have a marketing associate. We have FGC University, which is right down the street from us. And I always constantly have juniors and seniors that come in and run my social media marketing for me. Facebook, Instagram.
Nice.
They're trying to get me on TikTok now.
Yes. Christian, you know what's up. What's your TikTok handle? I want everyone to follow you.
You know what? I haven't created one yet. My junior marketing associates that are all juniors in college are trying to get me to set one up. I haven't done it yet. And Gary V, is really big on it. If you listen to Gary at all, he's really big on TikTok. He thinks that's going to be the next Facebook and Instagram.
100%. Yeah, it's growing. Man, I just wanted to share in my experience with the drivers. I posted a job on Indeed, so somebody there looking for something more stable, and I paid them $15 an hour for 30 to 40 hours a week, and they stayed with me for about 5 months, and they drove that many hours every day. So I think that is an option if you haven't tried posting it on more of like a stable job type job site.
That's great. I've mostly done it on gigs on on Craigslist.
Yep. I feel like in my experience, those have been more short-term focused people. And then the Indeed is like the longer, that's where I had the success. So I just wanted to share that. And
I also recommend hitting up like the meetups and RIAs and find the people that are just kind of young and hungry and want to learn about, they're looking for a mentor. They want to learn about real estate, and they just want to like basically look at houses and just kind of learn and stuff like that. So you might have to spend a little extra time with them and kind of helping them out a little bit, but they're hungry and they're ready to go. That's how we found our best people.
That's awesome. Great to know. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. And before you get off, Christian, have you met Josh Johnson?
I have not.
Hi there.
Hey, Josh.
Sorry, I was not ready to be on this, and I have dogs that are literally all over me at the moment.
I just wanted Josh to just chime in for a second.
Wait, I got it. Now that he's got his dog, I'm still in my office working. Oh, my wife just took my little dog, but I was going to get mine up on my lap.
This is Evelyn, for everyone who's interested.
Hey, Josh, good to meet you.
Hey there, good to meet you. David wanted to bring me in mainly. I in particular run all the enterprise accounts with DealMachine, and most of the conversations I'm having with the customers on the enterprise side is how to build and scale a deal finder team, how to do it well, how to hire them, how to pay them, the pros and cons of all the different alternatives of paying on the back end, paying $1 per lead,
awesome,
or going the hourly route. So definitely would be happy.
I think we spoke once a few months back.
Yeah, definitely might have. So I would say we should probably refresh that conversation and reconnect.
Perfect.
To David's point, I think one of the biggest things on the deal finder side is you get a lot of stability when you can go the hourly route too, because you gain someone who's predictably saying, okay, I'm going to go drive 5, 10, 15, 20 hours a week, whatever that is. And then you can kind of build predictability in the whole driving for dollars model when you go that route, because someone's going to reliably go get those properties probably at a clip of about 15, 20 per hour. And so there's a lot of reliability that comes on that, which is really valuable to the whole process. Like, you don't want to be like, okay, one week we had a lot of success and then everyone disappeared on me the next week and I didn't get any new leads. So now you're kind of just not feeding the top of that funnel like you want to be. So the predictability, or at least like building like 3 to 5 people that are hourly and predictable, and then scale with some of the other more flexible models is a good thing to be thinking about.
Got it. Kind of mix and match in that. Oh, one last question too I want to ask. I've noticed, so with the return mailers that I'm getting, are you guys taking them out of the system? Because I'm noticing that, so I've got my return mailer over here that I just got back from some ones we put in about 30 properties last week. Are you guys are these now coming out of the system, or am I having to go in and say, stop mailing, stop postcard number 2 or number 3?
They're automatically being set to return to sender status in the system. We get that information because that's barcoded mail, and our system will automatically update so you don't spend money sending more mail to that person.
That's what I know. It's awesome.
I'll give you one quick caveat on that. Sometimes we don't get that notification from USPS correctly, and they'll still send it back to you, and we don't get the notification via their system. So worth a double check, maybe like have a VA or every other week doing just making sure they're stopped, because sometimes they won't be just because of that.
Great. Excellent.
But for anyone listening, like, highly recommend digging a little bit deeper on those, right? Brian, like, do Brian or Christian, either of you have, like, what do you do with your return mail?
Skip trace and start calling or texting them.
Yeah, I skip trace them, and then we drop RVMs. I use Drop Cowboy. And then if it comes back, like, what I'll do is I'll put it on my assistant's desk, and then I'll have her give if it comes back and it says vacant, like one just came back, it says vacant. So I'll have them go and confirm that it's vacant, and then I'll dig a little bit deeper. We'll go down to the Lee County tax records and try to dig a little deeper and, see if we can make touch with the owner, find out maybe the property's in probate, reach out to the probate attorney. So those ones I dig a little bit deeper on.
Love that. So many people get frustrated with the return mail, but they don't realize that it's actually kind of an opportunity to go a bit deeper than others are willing to do and uncover some deals that others won't find.
Exactly. Diamond in the rough.
Did we answer all of your questions for now?
You did.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. Take
Glad
care,
we brought you on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks also, Josh. All right. So we're running out of time, and there's like 47 more questions. So I'm going to try to rapid fire some more of these. So let's see. Can you record a memorandum so the seller doesn't go back and sell it to someone else? I mean, that's pretty much what a purchase agreement prevents, right?
Yeah, I mean, that does, sellers lie, sellers are dishonest all the time. And we've had people like do multiple purchase agreements. So a lot of times if it's a deal that we're really excited about, a deal that we like, that we might just file like a notice of interest on it. It basically prevents them, that clouds the title. So it basically prevents them from being able to sell that property. We actually had to start doing that on quite a few properties.
Wow. So once you have a signed purchase agreement, you actually register that with like the city, or how does that work?
So yeah, just with the title company, just say that we want to file a notice of interest on it. That's how we do it in Indianapolis or in Indiana. And they just basically put it on there that basically, hey, Simple Quarters, they have a purchase agreement for this property. So it allows the seller not to sell it to anybody else and stuff like that. So there's a lot of sellers. It's competitive out there. So there are people that will try to, basically put out a higher offer, and then the seller will try to, sell to somebody else. Or there's people that are dishonest as wholesalers too. And they say like, oh, well, just don't worry about your contract with them and sell to us and stuff. So we like to do things the right way and be honest about stuff. So sometimes we'll just file a notice of interest on it if we like the deal enough.
Mm-hmm. I did not know that was possible. I like that. But yeah, purchase agreement is supposed to prevent them from selling it. Rochelle Henderson says, what kind of data is important to track? And I'm pretty sure this is regarding like scaling a team.
So any kind of data you can find, anything that's measurable is good to track. But I mean, when we're talking about just like acquisition side of like how many pieces of, what are you doing? So if you're sending out mail, how many pieces of mail are you sending out? You want to track that. How many returns? Like, is it, worth the investment? Are you getting the return on your money they can? How many people are how many calls are your acquisitions team making? How many people are they talking to? How many walkthroughs are they going on? All that kind of stuff. I mean, we have metrics that we go over every week on a team meeting in each department. I mean, each has, like 5 to 10 things that they're reporting out on all the time and stuff. But your main KPIs are definitely going to be how many walkthroughs are you generating? And then how many deals are you getting from any of that stuff? How many calls are you generating? Those types of things are important. So, and you want to be able to work it backwards. You basically want to figure out how many deals are you doing a month? And then for those deals, how many walkthroughs are you getting to get those deals? For those walkthroughs, how many leads are you generating to be able to get that many walkthroughs? That way, if you do want to start doing more deals or anything, you have to increase that first number to be able to get to that last number.
Makes a lot of sense. What service do you guys use to send out your properties through text message?
Lead Sherpa. So I believe I think he's out of Tulsa, maybe. I don't know about that, but
Colorado, I think.
Yeah, Colorado. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, definitely a really good option. Natasha Saunders says, do you have a process to vet a cash buyer before you do a deal outside of proof of funds?
Yeah. So a lot of that is we've learned that through this business, a lot of times I feel like 2 years ago, it was more of a deal's going to sell itself. kind of thing, where you don't really need a dispositions guy. Like, just kind of anybody could do it. But the more competitive it's getting and the more deals that are out there, a dispositions guy and a sales guy is really important. So, and their job as part of that is to be able to build that rapport with all your buyers and be able to know what your buyers are looking for and what they're looking for and stuff like that. So, basically, when you do get a deal under contract, probably pretty much like, hey, I'm going to probably sell it to one of these 5 people and stuff. I know when you're marketing stuff, whether it's on Facebook and things like that, you're going to have a bunch of buyers that come out of the woodwork. One of the scary things is when you get people that are trying to wholesale a wholesale deal and do the whole daisy chain thing too. So you definitely have to be able to vet them. We did start asking for proof of funds on a lot of stuff to just see, kind of what they have. A lot of them too, I'll ask for a credibility packet. Maybe they can provide me with proof of some deals that they've done. How many buy and hold properties they have, or, hey, are you looking to flip this property? What are some other flip opportunities or flip, opportunities that you did in the city? Can I look those up? Or you just kind of ask for that credibility packet, or just ask them, straight up, hey, what are some projects that you've already done?
Mm-hmm. If the property is owned by an LLC, should I forget about it?
No, that kind of gets into kind of that I said, I'll provide you guys that website of like kind of if things are in an LLC or a trust or anything like that, you can look up who is in charge of that trust or LLC or who owns it. And then you can kind of do some research. It's tough to do the research on it and try to find. You have to use your investigative skills a little bit, but there's ways to do it and to find those people out.
Yep. And definitely you can just look at your state Secretary of State website as well as a starting place.
Yeah. And the thing of it is too, because if you do find an LLC that is willing to sell a property, more than likely they have like 10 they might sell. So, I mean, some of our biggest deals where we've bought 20 properties at a time have come from from LLCs and companies.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get back to that too. When you see a property that's owned by an LLC, you want to try to figure out who that LLC is, because you need to add them to your buyers list as well. They obviously are accumulating properties and own properties. So that's somebody that you want to find out and add them to your buyer. They might be a seller or a buyer or both.
Totally. I know we're running out of time here. Can I bring one more person on? You cool with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Hannah, can you bring on Stephanie Hunt, please? Stephanie with a PH. All right. And then in the meantime, MJ Richardson says, when your assignment fee is higher than the purchase agreement amount with the seller, example, $10,000 property, and your fee is $30,000, do you always do a double closing so the buyer doesn't know what you're making?
That's kind of how you want to handle that. I know a lot of people kind of have a standard of if anything's over $10,000, they do a double closing a lot of times, but it all comes down to what you're doing in your process. If you're honest and open with kind of what's going on with the thing, with, what's going on with the deal and stuff like that, that's a pretty big case, where the assignment fee is a lot bigger than the property. So I would do a double closing if I was in that situation, but I'm also going to make sure that the person that's, I'm buying the property from or getting the property under contract from, they know what's going on, that, hey, I'm just an investor. I'm trying to find properties for other people, and that I am going to make it a profit on this. We tell that to people right away, so they know that I am making money on the back end.
Mm-hmm. All right, Stephanie, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
So great. Tell us what's going on.
Okay, so first, David, I just want to thank you for DealMachine. It's such a time saver. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yeah. So I put a gentleman, a homeowner, under contract, and he wanted 60 for the property. And I did it without seeing the property. I knew it was a hot area. I knew it was a duplex and it was great, square footage. And just thought like, okay, I just better just go ahead and just do this now. Mm-hmm. So, am I back on there? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I did not see the property. So I went to go see the property and went in there, and it was, whoa, it was way more than the repairs that he had said it would be. So he said about 80,000. Well, it was completely, looking like a haunted house. I mean, it was really, really bad. So I ran it by some of the cash buyers, what they thought, and they was like, no, definitely 150 would be the repairs. So I just went back to him and said, hey, are you willing to, renegotiate your price, come down some? And he was like, no, I'm not willing to do that. So we parted ways. I said, okay, I understand. And that was it. So like a week later, which would be this past weekend, he sent me a text and said, hey, 30,000. So he halved the price of what he wanted. So I responded back to him. I said, let's get together. Let's talk. Call me. I tried calling him. No response. And I just don't understand. I don't know what else to do. So just any suggestions?
Yeah, so I think that's something that can happen. Now, one of the things I do want to point out is, you got in that situation where you got it under contract. You came to an understanding like, hey, this isn't going to work out for this price. You let it go. But one of those things too, I would keep that person on a follow-up sequence too of, reaching back out to them like, hey, did you end up selling your property? Did you, what happened with it? Is it still available? Any of those type of things? Because, I had an investor maybe that was interested, and I could do it at this price. I'm just trying to have those things. But man, when it happens, when the people start ghosting you like that, it's tough.
Yes.
But that's all you can do is just kind of keep calling, keep texting. One of the things that I find very handy is whenever I have been in contact with somebody and I have worked with them, in some way, and I fall out of contact with them in some way, I like to send them a thank you note or drop off a thank you note and say, hey, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I wish you the best. We're a Christian company as well. So I always put out there, hey, is there anything I can be praying for you about? That type of thing.
Right.
But just by putting that thank you note on there and say, hey, thank you for your time. I don't know what happened, but if you do need anything at all in the future, please reach out to me and stuff. I'd love to work out something with you on this property.
That's great. That's a good idea. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I will keep following with him. It was literally just a few days ago. And he definitely he ghosted me for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you so much, Brian.
Unfortunately, that probably won't be the last time that happens. But
yes, so, yeah. I believe you.
All right. Thanks, Stephanie.
Guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hey, so Brian, I only asked you to come till 8. So if you got to go, now would be a good time.
If you want to bust through some more, I'm okay with it. Or if you want to do a follow up and we do kind of a video, you and I, and answer some of these questions at a later date, we can do that as well. So.
Sure. I'm going to stay and answer some more, but like I said, I totally respect your time and what you've allocated. So if you need to go, don't be shy about signing off.
It's good. I got about 15 minutes left on my battery, so we can do that.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So let's see. Okay. Efren says, I have a solid lead. They are under pre-foreclosure. Only owe, I believe, $40,000 and the value is $100,000. Let's say they agree to sell to me. What next? So pre-foreclosure just means, what does that mean?
So that they're looking to, the bank's going to foreclose on them. So they basically the bank needs, to get paid off to be able to sell. They basically need a buyer to sell that property before they lose it for nothing. So if they agree to sell it, then that's one of the things of just, to get it under purchase agreement as quick as you can and get a buyer as quick as you can. Unfortunately, a lot of times people wait till it's too late. And sometimes, you can't get the title work done and everything completed before that happens. Just talk to them, make sure they're aware of the situation. But in those cases, just try to move as quickly as possible.
Okay. So you don't need bank approval yet because it's not foreclosed on.
So there's a lot of times, sometimes you can't even call the bank and just kind of see what their situation is. Because a lot of times the bank might even take less money for it than what they just want to make sure they get some money back from it or anything. The last thing the bank wants is to get that house back. So they're usually open to a couple things as well. So.
All right, let's see. Have you ever had an experience with a property that is an heir property? If so, how do you solve it?
An heir property, what's that mean?
I guess it means like the owner died and then it transitioned to
HEI.
Yeah.
So I mean, all the time, people buy properties all the time from sons, daughters, whoever who it's passed down and stuff like that. That's a great lead. That's something that we kind of market for. That can get tricky. Some people get upset because they're dealing with the grief of the loss of a loved one. So you got to be careful when you're talking to them, stuff like that. But a lot of times they don't want the property. They don't know what to do with the property, so they are looking for a solution. And as a wholesaler, that's what you are. You are a problem solver, and your main goal is to get somebody out of a solution or get somebody out of a certain situation and be able to provide them with a solution. That's a great lead. We buy properties like that all the time.
All right. Josh has a goal of closing a deal written on a napkin. That was from your comment 30 minutes ago. All right. Felicia says another super important question is on a wholesale deal, who pays the closing costs?
That's up to the parties that decide it. So that it needs to be put in on the purchase agreement. So when you're talking to your seller, you need to make them aware of, hey, like this, we always say, hey, I'm going to buy your property for $40,000 and we're going to pay closing cost, or we're going to buy your property for $40,000 if you pay closing cost, or maybe we split the closing costs and stuff. Kind of the standard thing of what I see most wholesalers do is kind of that the buyer on the other end will always pay the closing cost. So basically just that way your seller doesn't have to worry about it, and they know they have that flat fee of whatever they're getting, and then the buyer just pays the closing cost on whatever's on top. But that's something you need to communicate with your seller and buyer so they know who is paying the closing costs. Definitely the buyer, if you agree to a certain price, make sure they know if they're paying the closing cost or not, and make sure that's on the title, or make sure that's on the purchase agreement so the title company knows.
Okay, reading a few more questions. Okay, Natasha says, is there a VA company that you recommend?
There are a bunch of them out there. The one that we use is called Better Your Best. The guy that runs it is a guy out of Indianapolis. His name is Ryan Johnson. Really good guy. David, I don't know if you know him or not, but they honestly, they are a little bit more expensive VAs than what I see some other companies charge. But like I said, our people are rock stars. So I have no problem paying what we do. We've actually given them all raises anyway. So they're all sick. But I recommend Better Your Best. I know they work out well for us, but there's a bunch of different VA services. An easy one, if you're looking for one for just doing like small tasks, just jump on Upwork, and you can find somebody that just works for you for like a month. Do it on a trial and then see if they work out well, and then you can hire them on past that even.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been told kind of a good standard is whatever you pay them, multiply it by 3, and that's kind of what you would pay a U.S. person to do that job. So for example, if I'm paying a VA, $4 an hour, times it by 3, that's basically like a $12 an hour job for somebody so I need to expect $12 an hour work. I can't expect, $25 an hour work and like really intricate, detailed stuff from them because it's only, a small job. It's an administrative job.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And somebody's saying, are bandit signs illegal?
Depends on where you are. Depends on the city, depends on the county, depends on the state. Everybody has different laws. So that's something you need to look into. They're a nuisance everywhere. I know a lot of people, if you put them up wherever, even if it's not the cops or whoever, they're gonna take them. A lot of people are gonna take them down, but it's something that you don't use your personal number. Definitely use, some kind of a Google number or some number that can't necessarily be traced back to you if you're going to put it on there and stuff. But just look into what your city regulations or, county regulations are on that.
Awesome. Okay. I'm still just reading through, finding the next question. Okay, somebody, okay, it's a very similar question. Sorry, they're just a little bit old, so I'm trying to ask the relevant ones that we have not answered yet. Is calling a person better than mail?
So if you are doing cold calling and you're calling people, granted, you're going to be able to have that conversation right then and there, but you will get a lot more negativity just because you're going to get a lot more hangups and stuff like that. If you are cold calling, like you have to call a lot of people to make contact with them. So be prepared for that. It's definitely a lot cheaper. But if you are doing direct mail, the person that is calling you back to sell their house, they're raising their hand because they have a problem, they have a situation. So basically, when people are responding to your direct mail, you're going to know they're like I said, they're basically raising their hand, coming to you for the solution. But when you're cold calling, it's always blind, so you never know what you're going to get when somebody answers that phone.
Mm-hmm. How would you speak to a family with a loved one who just passed away without triggering any negative emotions?
So the first thing I do, I always pray with them, and just let them know, I share my faith with them. I'm open with that. That's who we are as a company. That's who I am as an individual. So that's one of the first things I do. And even if they're not receptive to that, I always let them know that I will pray for them anyway. And then I just start having a conversation with them of like, hey, what are your plans for the house? Do you know what you're doing with it? Do you need any help with what you need to do with it? And just kind of try to reason with them, try to empathize with them, try to understand what their actual situation is and what their problem is. And a lot of times, sometimes if it's really sudden, they might not know what they're doing with the house, and they might need help trying to figure out what to do with it and stuff, and what their best options are. And it's one of those things of I sit down and just go through all the different scenarios of what we can provide for them. Sometimes we can't do it. Maybe it's a good house, and they, really it's a better retail house just to put on the retail market. At that point, I'm going to reach out to one of our realtor buddies that we give our realtor leads to. That way I can maybe even make, just a finder's fee off of it or something. But the main thing is I'm helping that family out, get rid of the house if they need to.
Right. If a house is adjudicated, does the owner still own it?
I might sound dumb. What's adjudicated mean?
I don't know what that means either. Matthew C., let us know. I don't know what that means. Let's see.
Marty.
Cool. Well, the good news is I've reached the bottom of the questions.
Now that I don't know what a word means. So.
I kind of want to know. That's right. He says, like the adjudication process. I still don't know. Oh man, I don't know what that means.
So that it's going through a court process, or it's having
sounds like it. Yeah, it sounds like a court word. When would a house go through a court process? He says like a formal judgment on a disputed matter, or which the owner has failed to pay property taxes and has
there's something on the title. So there's some kind of a judgment on the title and stuff like that. It all depends on they still own the property. It just means that there's probably some kind of a lien or a judgment on it, and that's going to be solved by the title company. They're going to let somebody know. So there's a lot of times that we might agree to let's say we agree to buy a property for somebody for $50,000. It goes through, they realize like, oh, you have all this, you have a judgment here, a lien here, that kind of thing. Maybe they have, $10,000 that they still owe. Well, that's going to come out of what they're making. So they're not going to get $50,000. That's $40,000. Sometimes they'll say, oh, well, that's not what I wanted. That I need 60. And sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's kind of the stuff that we just throw over the title company, let them clear all that stuff up. Let them know where we are on our things. Sometimes our acquisition guy will need to go back and maybe renegotiate or do something with them. But yeah.
Understood. So to wrap things up, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you. And thank you for everyone who joined us tonight. Brian, is there any way that you'd want people to either go to your website or like your Instagram or anything like that? Any type of resource that you want to share with everyone?
Yeah, you guys can reach out to me anytime. Just my email is brian@simplewholesaling.com. So you can reach out to me there. You can check out our website. We have some resources on our website at simplewholesaling.com. On Facebook, whether it's me or our company. If you're local to Indy, we do a meetup. It's the fourth Wednesday of the month in the Irvington area. So you can find out some information from me or, on our website as well and things. And one of the things too, I'd say if you're not local to Indy, I would definitely recommend checking out a podcast that we have. We're almost at 200 episodes. The CEO of our company, Brett Snodgrass, he does a podcast. I'm on there, do some intro stuff with him and things like that. But I think it's definitely something you could check out. It might interest you, it might not, but probably worth checking out. So
awesome. Thanks again, Brian, and have a good night, everyone.
No problem. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Bye.